Well, hey, again, thank you all so much for being here. This is your Path to Partner Creator Camp. And so now I'm going to give you a disclaimer. This isn't going to be a creator camp that teaches you exactly what you need to do to become a partner on Twitch, because mileage may vary on that because every person is different. But I will say we're going to try and give you as much insight as we can into the partner program and some of its perks, and maybe give you some advice on ways to get you on that path to partner. I'm sorry, I had to do it. But all right, without any further ado, don't laugh now because you guys are not funny. Well, hey, I'm Ray Apollo, also known as Ray. I'm a community marketing manager at Twitch. I also manage and run the Career Camp. So all of the global education you see on Twitch is from this guy externally. So I'm really happy to be here with my very good friend and excellent co-host, Anish.
Hey everyone, my name is Anish. I did not realize we were friends, Ray, but that's great to know. We're friends, awesome. Great. You can always use more friends. I see some familiar faces, so thank you for coming to the session, and more importantly, thank you for coming to all of our sessions.
I will say this, so these are we're getting into our last session, so we're getting a little tired, so who knows how this will go, right? But seriously, thank you so much for being here. And then to kind of, keep rolling into it, like that disclaimer that I gave earlier, this is the disclaimer of applying does not guarantee that you will get affiliate or partner. Oh, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. I don't know what's happening. It was you. I knew it. Anyway, so when you actually are eligible to hit apply, fill out that form, and those applications are manually viewed by people. Unlike what some folks would think, those are actual people who do that, and believe it, there's a lot more view than there are of them. So if you're like, oh, but it took forever, well, that's because they're real people doing the job, and it happens. So I think, what does it say? The average is like 7 days? Average, yeah.
I think the important thing to call out here, so Ray mentioned people. Neither Ray nor I work on the team that reviews the applications.
So we do not. So don't be mad at me. I am a messenger and a teacher. And that's it. All right. So I want to give you a heads up because, yes, if your application is denied, you can reapply. And when I tell folks this, I've had folks who were devastated the first time they applied and were rejected. Do not take that as a hard no. It's just a not right now. All right? So, let's keep moving.
All right.
Let's talk about the requirements for partnership. So, the requirements for partnership. You must meet all three of these simultaneously or at the same time to actually have that apply button show up on your creator home/dashboard within the same 30-day period. So that excludes premieres, reruns, and subscriber-only streams. And if you have questions about that, we can go into that in the Q&A. So what you need to have streamed for 25 hours. That is a long time. Trust me, there's only 24 hours in a day.
25 hours, only 2 days.
You have to stream on 12 different days. And you need to have an average of 75 CCVs. And that excludes raids and embeds. But Anish, would you clarify CCVs?
Yes, so let's dive into that. So CCVs is an acronym that stands for concurrent viewers. So viewers at the same time, like live while watching you. And something that's really important to call out here is that it's 30 days, but it's an ongoing 30 days. So don't feel beholden to the 30 days starts at the first of the month and you have to do it in the month. It's any 30 days. It's called a rolling basis. So those 25 hours can be done in any kind of 30 days. It could be the 12th of July till about the 12th of August, whatever that looks like. And obviously, this bar is relatively high in terms of it's 12 different days, it's 25 hours. We all have lives, we all have things going on. So whether streaming is a hobby for now for you or something that you're pursuing as a full-time career, totally also acknowledge that this can be, I think for some people, a little easier to achieve, but also it puts in a lot of work. And it is definitely a bit difficult in many ways, but we're going to try to make it as easy as we can here.
I'm not going to make it easy. I'm just going to tell you how it is, because this is hard. This is very difficult. But one thing I will tell you is that your ultimate goal is growth. We want to make sure that you are having a growth focus and mindset when it comes to becoming a partner, because I don't want you to see partner as the end. I want you to see partner as another beginning. So, as we go through this, think about growth and how that applies to you as a creator on this path to partner. Man, I keep saying that unintentionally, I think. So, let's kind of cover some stuff about growth with your audience. So, when you're growing an audience, there's some stuff that you should consider. So you want to figure out how viewers are finding your content, how you program your channel around that content, what makes your stream specifically special and stand out. Like, why should people watch you? Because there's a lot of people that are streaming. You have to also tell people that you're streaming. Promote them. Let folks know where to find you and how to find you. And then also, jolly cooperation. That's not how it's written, but yes. Growing through collaboration. Engaging with other creators, other communities, networking, going to events like a TwitchCon, which well done, you've already achieved that. And so I'll actually, even a meetup, actually just a quick question, show of hands, have any of you been to a meetup before, like an official Twitch meetup? Those are my favorites. All right, thank you very much. I encourage all of you at some point to go and check out and see if there's a meetup near you. I mean, that's not an ad, I'm just saying it because I like those. All right, so where are we going to start? We're going to talk about programming your channel. So you might be like, great, what's programming my channel? It's not like a MySpace page where you're editing the HTML. Did I just date myself? Great. Anyway, this is where we're going to determine where, how, and when you should be planning your content and executing that content. So, Anish, my friend, please tell them about some programming.
Great. What's that word?
Programming.
Programming. So I think a lot of streamers that I've interacted with don't always give the proper time to brainstorm and plan out your schedule and the programs that you intend to provide to your viewers. Right? I think obviously it's all live, so you're not going to be able to plan that part out, but I think being conscious about the days that you're going to stream, the how, the when, the why, the where, all those things, but really more importantly, what do you actually plan on streaming, what days, what time, and being conscious about it. And having that built into kind of a schedule, so that you're actually having a program that's set, whether it's on a weekly cadence, a monthly cadence, however much in advance that you might want to do it.
Okay. So let's kind of jump into these sort of individual, and we're going to start with where. And when we say where, it's like, okay, where do you want people to find you on Twitch? Because believe it or not, they're not just finding you on Twitch. There's different categories on Twitch where they can find you. Look, I know all of us have things that we are very comfortable with doing. I know my go-to is indie games of any and all times, but I also occasionally jump into just chatting. And then I would like to say, have fun. Make sure you are having fun, because if I come into your stream and you're not having fun, we can see it. We can see when you are sad, mad, and or bored. So I encourage folks all the time to do things that do make them happy, but also we have to understand that if you're looking to grow, that you do need to shake it up and make sure you have a strategy on where you're going to have those streams fall. Because if I just play, Undertale all day long, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of growth out of that. And I'm also going to get real frustrated. But if I'm mixing it up and playing stuff that I do love, so I can play Undertale, but then maybe before stream starts, I'm jumping into just chatting and we're talking about all the endings of Undertale, because I've used the game 1,000 times. And then at the end of the stream, I'm doing a community game where we're hanging out together and we're playing Among Us. So just giving your community a place to understand that, I might not be around for that part, but there is a part of the stream that I do enjoy. And so now you've given yourself multiple layers of community building there, and not just one by being in one category. At least you want to add anything to this?
Yeah, I think ultimately you know your community better than anyone else, right? And so to that point, we talk about selecting your categories. There's clearly going to be some categories that you're not going to be known for, it wouldn't resonate with your community. Don't feel forced or pressured to have to do it. I think another key thing here on top of programming is experimenting. Right? Don't be afraid to try something new and give it enough time to dig into the data and understand what happened. Was this a good thing? Was it a bad thing? Did it not work out? I like to tell everyone that there's no concept of failure. If something doesn't work out in a way that you hope for, all that means is it's a learning that you can keep applying moving forward. So don't be afraid to experiment, to try something new. If you stay static, your stream's going to stay static, right? You got to keep thinking, what is going to be best for me? How can I continue to evolve the community that I have, evolve the streams that I have, and figure out what does resonate and work well with people in my community. And to that point, don't be afraid to ask. Hey, I'm going to try out this stream this Friday, a brand new game here. I know it's a bit more casual. Doesn't really resonate with everyone here, but please come in, let me know what you think. Would love to hear your thoughts so we can continue to create content that's great for you.
And you made a really good point. Experimenting is great because all of this is still very new. So don't be afraid to try new things, especially right now, like in almost not right now, but just in general of the space. Now's the time to be trying new stuff, doing new things with your streams and with your productions and the games that you play. Now's the time to try new stuff. So just don't be afraid to try. And you might be asking, well, how do I start to experiment if I don't know where to start? Well, we have some stuff we can show you. So, with the new analytics that they rolled out on Twitch and the way that they break them down, you now have, I feel like, more insight than ever into your audience, what they watch, where they're watching. And this gives you a really good place to start. Where you're like, okay, what should I be trying? Well, what do people who watch you watch? That's a simple way to get started. Because if you're like, all right, well, I see that they like just chatting. Occasionally, and these are examples, by the way, occasionally they were watching chess and then Elden Ring, but the stuff that I love to play is kind of in the lower section of that. It's like, okay, well, maybe I do, try a stream where I am just chatting, and then I go into my favorite part because, then I've potentially brought in a new audience, or I've had more folks from the communities who intersect that this data comes from are now staying in my stream longer, and then they might be inclined to stay for me playing my favorite game. Not to say that that's like actually going to happen, but it's possible. How do you feel about that?
I feel great.
Good. I also feel great about that. You know why? Because when you're really trying to get into these analytics that you have, I don't want you to also take them as gospel. These are suggestions or like, I don't want to say predictions.
It's a way to help support you and your decision, right? It's not the end all be all. The data only paints a certain side of the picture, and there is you can run afoul of being too data driven, in my opinion. The numbers only paint a certain version of the story, and I think that's also where you want that quantitative information, but then also qualitative, right? If the data in this example tells you a lot of your viewers like just chatting, don't just jump straight into just chatting to try it out. You could even seek out a little bit more qualitative feedback or advice. Hey, how do you all feel about if I started a new little coffee side chat in my Thursday and Friday streams before we hop into Undertales or League of Legends or whatever it might be? Right? Solicit that feedback, see what people say in the community. Ultimately, if you're creating content for them, help them be a bit in the driver's seat, so to say, and guide you in that decision as well.
Yeah, because it is your community. And you're growing together. So never be afraid to ask, because unless you ask them if you're funny and they all say no. Not that I don't know from experience, but anyway, I really truly hope that one thing that you get from this, if anything, is that just be willing to try something new, but also understand that you don't have to try it exactly the way you've seen it tried before. Try it in a way that makes it comfortable and or unique to you, and who knows what happens. So next, let's jump into when, as in schedules. My favorite part. That's sarcasm. All right. So setting a schedule, honestly, is probably one of the most important things for growth, period, in this space. If you can use that, so you have a tool in your dashboard that would, not the dashboard, that was just like gesturing.
I can't do it.
Where you can actually go set your schedule. I know currently I have a standing schedule of Monday, Wednesday, Friday of when I'm streaming. Don't ask me how often I keep to that, but it's there.
How often do you keep to that, right?
I decline to answer. But a regular schedule lets viewers fit your streams into their day-to-day lives because they are also people with things to do, families, school. And so if you give them and set that expectation of when they can come and see you, they're more likely to do it because now they know when to expect you, which, for some of us is hard to keep because we also have lives and jobs and other things to do. So, yeah, I know, right? It's a really wild thing that life do be life sometimes. So, when you're thinking about a schedule, I want you to kind of in your head understand that if you're trying to hit those requirements that we brought up earlier, what is the best way that you can prepare yourself to reach those goals with your schedule in terms of the actual time stipulations? All right, so let's look at like a blank schedule. So, okay, here you go. You have a month. In that month, I want you to imagine that, you just stream. You stream what you want, you do what you're going to do, and you're like, all right, cool, I've streamed. That might look a little bit something like this. Not my schedule, by the way. Maybe it might be a bit of a... Yeah, it might be. It's my schedule. Anyway,
this is a safe space, to be honest.
Yes, thank you. This is a safe space for me. So like this was just when I had time, but I'm also trying to meet a goal, which this does not help to meet that goal. So ideally, you would like to have something more streamlined and something more planned that would look like this, which, as you can see, is much more predictive and cleaner, if you ask me. Because now I know that I'm streaming every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from a certain time when I'm trying to stream for 12 days. And also get that 25 hours, which is a lot of time still. But then you want to make sure that you outline what's happening in that time that you put in, right, Anish?
Oh yeah, you got to make sure you're proactive and outlining.
Yes.
And I'll go from there. So the schedule, as Ray called out, is I think a really key tool and feature built into the platform to let your audience know what they can expect and when they can expect it. But obviously you all also tweet when you go live or post in Discord and whatnot. And a key thing here that Ray had alluded to is you have to make sure that you're consistent. Right? That is one of the biggest things that we've seen is an indicator of being able to grow and succeed and continue succeeding on the platform. Having a consistent schedule. Doesn't mean being consistent from the content side per se. We want you to continue evolving and experimenting there. But it's having that consistent schedule so that you effectively train your audience, your community, when you're going to go live. They don't need to think about it. They know in this example, hey, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Ray is going to go live. Now he misses out most of those days, unfortunately, but we know to expect Ray Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? And then through the scheduler feature, you could actually have it, where appropriate, plan out so they know what they can expect on those days. You dive in here in this example, some Elden Ring, some League of Legends, some chess, some just chatting. And that, these are examples, of course. You might not actually, that first Friday, do 3 hours of just chatting. That might be maybe 30 minutes or an hour, but you're doing that in between other content. Mm-hmm. But regardless, you can set up a bit of a tease or what I like to call expectation set for what they can expect to see from you on that day coming up.
Yeah. And I also want to point out here, it's like you see that the amount of time is outlined. I also want you to be aware of the amount of time that the stream is when it comes to, because you're trying to hit 25 hours. I know sometimes it's hard to stream for, more than 2 hours, it fatigues you. It is not easy. So I want you to also plan for the time that you're going to spend on stream. So that way you're not just saying, hey, I'm going to be here this time. Actually, I'm going to be here from, X time to X time. And I'm like, I'm only going to be live for 3 hours. And so now folks have some agency to be there because they're like, oh, well, actually, he outlined how long he's going to be live. So I either know that I need to be there on time or hopefully I can catch him before the end. So we've also set that expectation of, well, I'm not just going to be live for, and you can catch me when you catch me. No, I'm only going to be live for 3 hours. And that's the 3 hours you get to be with me. And that's it because, I have other stuff to do. I wish I could sit and stream all day, but I can't. So it's just setting an expectation, but also setting the expectation for yourself physically, because it does matter. All right. So let's talk about one form of content that people can do now with a new tool. Go for it.
So guest star. Some of you might have heard of this. In case you haven't, it's a tool that allows you to bring up either other streamers or other members of your community up to chat on stream. I think the biggest thing I want to call out and mention here is that at the end of the day, we're trying to continue to make more and more tools that continue to empower you and help you in your content creation journey. Guest star may not be for everyone. Right? Some of you may not ever do just chatting. But like we mentioned a bit earlier, experimenting is a big part of continuing to further define out what is success for you and how do you continue to grow on the platform. And so this could be a great way to continue connecting with your community on a more intimate, closer level. Something I've seen some streamers do, for example, is they start off their stream with, it's morning, they have a little coffee, they do some just chatting for 30, 45 minutes and just do casual, almost Q&A or casual fireside chat with their community before they jump into whatever other content they might be doing or whatever their game they might be doing. And guest stars are a great way where you could bring them up on stream and have them have a chat with you in a safe manner.
Yeah, and so I've used guest star a few times, mostly for podcasts, but this year I actually plan on using it for my Game of the Year discussions because you can bring people up from chat easily to talk with you like on stream, which is good. And I consider guest star, as you said, it's a tool, but like think about there's so many tools that you have that you don't always need every tool that you have in your toolbox, but it's nice to know that it's there and that you can use it when you need it. And so that's kind of how I view guest star for myself personally. It's like, yeah, it's great that I have it and I use it when I feel like it is necessary, but it doesn't do the job for every job. So, I don't know, give it a shot, give it a try if you haven't already. Get some of your friends together, do like I think you can play Jackbox games together on stream with guest star. Dude, there's all kind of stuff you can do. I mean, yeah, there's other tools you can do it with, but also there's the moderation aspect of this where, our tools of moderation also apply to this directly. So, what I would like to encourage you to do is when you even consider using guest star, use it in a way that is fun for you, not just using it to use it. Because then, what's the point? Would you like to add any more before we go on?
I wanted to actually say, we talked about the when, the where.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give them an example of the
How?
how.
Well, okay, so
On the next slide.
I was getting there. You moved the segue. Man.
We need to be more in sync. We're supposed to be friends. As of 30-ish minutes ago. So, all right.
This is fun. Okay, y'all want to know about how? Let's learn about how. All right. So, how about you go on?
Thank you. You're so generous with your time and stage. So the how. Tags is a really great way of further defining out the how. You can use a combination of 6+ tags, I believe up to 10 max.
Yeah, now.
Yeah, right. And yeah, okay. And we released freeform tags. Double check on this. I think it was last year, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Not no, but yes, they're alive now.
Sometime in the past year, maybe 2 years max, we released freeform. And freeform was the ability where we had a predefined list of tags that you had to effectively pick from. And freeform opened it up where you could type in your own tag. But tags, I think, are phenomenal because they can not only represent the content that you have on stream, but also the community. And it's one of the great tools for discoverability on the platform, where some people may be not just looking for specific content, but they might be looking for a particular community that they want to call home, or a new community that they want to discover and explore. And tags are a great way to put those keywords in to help other viewers and other people find your community and be a part of it.
Yeah, and they're also a really good way to quickly identify your stream. So if somebody is going through the list and they see your stream, they can see your tags immediately, so they kind of get a good idea of what to expect immediately. So again, setting expectations pretty quick. I love to, for example, I'm black, I'm a dad, I think I'm funny, and I'll put full playthrough, so people know that the game I'm playing, I'm doing a full playthrough of, so they understand that just from the jump, and it's right there. I would like for folks to consider, think of tags as keywords. When people who go onto Twitch and they just type in golf, and if you have golf in the tag because you like golf, they might come in and ask you about golf, and it's like, okay, well now this is a way that you've now built a connection with this person because they were looking for golf and wanted somebody to talk to about golf. So when you are using tags, just use them in a way that you're being true to yourself So that way when somebody comes in to ask you about it, they're now like, oh yeah, I chose correctly because I actually went into a stream where they really do want to talk about anime and, they actually know what they're talking about and rather just, not, and they had anime tag in their stream just because. So,
Yeah.
not that I've done that.
I mean, to that point, the idea isn't to go for the most popular tag or, the one that is just going to get you those views, if you will. Because you want people to not just find your stream, but then stick around. Right? And tags is a great way. If you think of it almost like a funnel, tags are at the top where people will find you from there. And then your stream, your community, your content will kind of do the rest of the work to keep them around. And I think to that point, we talked about experimenting, we talked about being data-driven. That also applies to tags.
Mm-hmm.
We have data built in on the platform for tags. We can actually seek an understanding of when you're using specific tags, how did it go? And that's also where we encourage you have 6+ all the way up to 10. Don't just be static and pick the same tags and just stick with them. Kind of like pick them and forget about them. Try out new ones. Give yourself a healthy amount of time, especially as you continue to work towards your path to partnership. I would say a good rule of thumb would be probably 3 to 4 weeks, 21 days to 28 days where you test out, in this case, specific tags. Seek an understanding through the data of how or what percentage of viewers found you through those tags, and then make adjustments accordingly. Right? If you notice that, hey, you know what, there's a specific tag that only 2% of my viewers found me from, let me replace that with a different one, arguably, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas something might be a little bit higher, like maybe 10, 15, 20%, and you realize that that's actually working well when you can double down on that.
And then you can use variations of that tag as well to double down even more, So if like, for example, you see here they have painting, traditional art, and drawing. So that's like, they're kind of getting there's an entire net that they're casting there for folks who are interested in art in general. So I think that's a really good way to also remember how to use tags is to, yes, as long as it's working well, use different variations of that tag to also expand that potential viewfinder for folks, which I think is pretty dope. I love that. It makes me happy. But you know what else makes me happy? Telling people that you're actually live on Twitch is really, really important. When you go live, it doesn't just mean that people are going to automatically know that you're live outside of the mobile notification that you can send, and set on Twitch, which is really important, by the way. And when it comes to that notification, use it. And when I say use it, don't actually just like, hi, that's cute. But like, okay, give them a reason to want to click on that link. It's like, tell them what you're doing in stream. Or give them a fun fact that is probably wrong, but would get them to come in the stream anyway. I'm rude, and I like to troll folks and like put like, I bet you wouldn't click this anyway because I'm rude. And just something that resonates with your community. That I should click that because yes, that's my stream. You want to give them not only pause but cause when they click that. So this all goes into something that we call, well, not just us, but calls to action. Don't just expect people to do things because you're doing them. You have to ask and tell them. So if I'm going live, I'm going to use my platforms to tell folks that I am live. I'll use Discord, I use Twitter, I use Instagram. Use those places to tell folks. And when you're telling them, make sure that you're also using that platform to its best ability. So if I'm going to post something on Instagram that I'm live, I'm going to use a higher quality picture because I know that's how people use Instagram. They like to look at really nice things on Instagram. If I'm putting something on TikTok, I normally go for more of a funnier approach on a TikTok that's something about my stream, but not telling them exactly, oh, hey, I'm live. And I know that if I'm going live, TikTok. It's just, I have now put a TikTok for my content out there, which I feel like it generates some buzz in that regard. So that's a call to action in itself. That was hilarious. They stream? Oh, I'm going to check out their stream. So you want to make sure that you are not just using calls to action of just telling them when, but also giving them reasons to come to your stream. I think it's important.
To that point, if we go back to the custom go live notifications, so we have analytics that show what percentage of your followers ended up interacting with or clicking on the go live notification. And something, Ray was speaking to this, something that I'd recommend is when you think about your go live notifications, the best thing you can do is think about probably 2-3 high level topics or focus areas that you want your go live notifications to fit into, right? So one could be trolling, One could be specific to the content that you're about to do. And let's just say the third is kind of a catch-all, if you will. So like, yeah, you can like mix it up and you can just say, okay, hey, going back to that rule of 3-4 weeks of getting the data in, let me even it out. I'll do a third of my go live notifications as trolley. It'll be a different one every time. You know, a third with that second category and then the third category. And that can also help guide you in understanding this is a segment of my community that's very engaged. They're following me. And so what percentage of them, it's going to fluctuate a bit, but what are they interacting with more? And do we see that more people will go and come join my stream when I go live when it is more troll, or when it's maybe more focused on what I'm about to do? Or maybe it's like an inside joke with the community that you're doing. And that's going to help you as you continue to move forward and grow your channel, understanding what's working well and what's going to continue to grow the stream and bring people in.
Like honestly, so I experimented with this on my own channel because it's like, well, when I wasn't just kind of, I was just going, hey, you would look at that stat and it was like, 2% open there. And it was like, okay, well, actually, I could use this to my advantage. And so I started putting things from the stream that are going to be happening. It's like, hey, we're finishing the last boss fight in this game today, but I also gave them the call to action of tune in. It's as simple as that. It's like you're telling them that they should watch. Hey, come hang out. This is what I'm doing. And it really did make a difference. I think I went from a 2% upper rate when I wasn't using them effective until like a 26% upper rate, which for notifications is great, by the way. So it's just you want to make sure that you're truly using it to your advantage because it's another tool that gets folks in the door, and then you keep them there because you're great. So, but speaking of being great, I want you to show these folks what it's like to be a supportive community. Would you like to take the time to show them? It's a demonstration, so people in the front row.
I would love to.
Hold still. All right?
I'd love to.
So we're going to reenact this scene here.
I broke a monitor yesterday.
He did break a monitor yesterday.
I think I'm joking.
So this is just kind of like, when you are taking everything that we've said into consideration and, you're communicating with your audience, you're letting them know where they can find you, you're talking with them about what they enjoy, you have a schedule that they are aware of. It's like, this could be you. It's like, you want your community to support you in what you're doing because you've brought them into the process. You've let them know it's like, hey, you are a person, so just communicating when things go wrong, when things are great. You don't have to give them every little detail, but just giving them what they need to be there to support you because they also have their own stuff to handle. So we love to use this as a gift because it is a really good, just show of happy support, which I enjoy. So, do you want to add anything to this before we go?
That could have been me. I want to spare you all the grief of having to deal with that. Let's hop over to some words of wisdom from our partner app team over here. So, look, the reality is that we want everyone to, if they can, get into the partner program. Right? Ideally, that is the end state we would love. And there might be, some of you even in this room might have gone through the experience where you applied and got the feels bad where you didn't get a partnership. But these are kind of words of wisdom. I won't read through all of them, but the biggest thing that I can encourage you is that I understand it might feel a bit discouraging if you do get rejected. Don't let that stop you from continuing to pursue your passion. Apply again, and the best part about the application is it's not just a cookie cutter where we're just looking at Twitch or your metrics on Twitch. You have a section in there, I forgot the exact name offhand, but kind of like, hey, anything else we should know about you? And that's a great chance to advocate for yourself. You are going to be your biggest advocate. Talk about, for example, if you did get rejected the first time, you apply again, talk about what you've done since that first rejection. And when you get rejected, it's not an automated email. You are told a specific reason or a slew of reasons for why you might have been rejected. It's giving you some additional info. You can directly address those in your resubmission of the application.
And that varies because, like I said, these are people and they have a lot of applications to go through. So it depends. I won't say that everybody's going to get a very detailed explanation or even an explanation at all. So it's just that will vary. But know that these folks do want folks to succeed. Like it's not like a yes, another one I can deny. No, these people want you to succeed, and I really hope that when you're applying, that you understand the rejection is not rejecting you. Like but no, they're literally no, they're not. It's just that they have to meet those very strict metrics, or because if they've been on them at all, then it all goes awry, and we don't want that at all. So I really want to talk about real quick a few perks of partnership. I'm not going to go through all of these either because this is a lot of words, but these are some things that you do get access to, and some of these might have changed recently, to my knowledge, because I actually didn't get to watch the opening ceremony yesterday because I was here, but that's fine. So just be aware that you do have some perks that you do get as a partner that you don't have otherwise, which are nice bonuses when it comes to being a partner on Twitch. So take a picture of that, look at those, consume them. But at the end of this, I really want you to understand that being a partner on Twitch is special because it does take a whole lot of work. And you do join another community of folks who have worked hard to achieve this. But what I said before is it's not the end goal, it's the start of another set of goals for you, I would hope. And I say this because I've seen so many people work so hard to get partnered, then they burn out because they work so hard, and then they just kind of stop. It makes me so sad every single time because they work so hard to do this, they want to do so bad, and then they don't have the energy to keep doing what they were doing. So when you're doing this, I want you to also be mindful of yourself. Take care of yourself. I'm always going to tell you to take breaks. You need to take a break. Yes, this is important, but if you're not at your fullest ability, what's the point? Because you can't take advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? So, I guess this is the end of our partner talk. So right now we're going to get into questions, but seriously, I want to thank y'all so much for being here. And I think we've saved a healthy amount of time for questions, so ask us questions, please. We're here.
We've got 2 mics up on both the sides here. Come on up. It can be in English, it can be in French. We'll have a live translation for us. Looks like we got our first one right here.
Yes.
Oh, yes, this one?
Yeah.
So I have a question regarding schedules. I myself am working shifts, so one week I am on mornings, the other week I'm on evenings, and it's alternating every single week. What I'm noticing is that viewership really differs between those 2 times. Are there any tips that you have to address that? Like should I wait until after a late shift, for example, to start streaming, or do it before? Anything you can help me with that?
So I actually feel like you just answered your own question. It's just trying those different times. It comes down to the experimenting on when you think people might be most active, but also being aware of time zones. It's like which audiences are awake at the times that you're streaming. I remember, for instance, there was a time where it's like, I used to stream really late at night because that's when I had time. But then I was like, well, it wasn't pulling the numbers that I was looking for. And so I was like, what if I switched to early in the morning when I know there aren't a ton of people live? And I did that. And there was a drastic change because it was a whole different time zone that was awake. At the time, it was a time of day where they were looking for people to watch. And so just trying different times might be the movement you're looking for sure. So just I would experiment with that and keep note of what was most effective. Trying is one thing, but remembering what worked and repeating it, that's another thing.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
So my question is, I remember it was like 175 viewers on average. But after the partner, if you fall below, like for example, like 73 on average, will they cancel your partnership?
No. Like once you get partner, you're a partner.
So you can like stream as much as you want, pretty much. You don't have to pay 35.
So once you hit partner, that's your status.
There's no minimum
There's no minimum to
qualification you have to meet or anything like that. You have it.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
Thank you, you too.
Hi.
I get the sound of my own voice.
When it comes to streaming massively popular categories such as Minecraft, obviously with those lower viewer counts you're at the bottom.
Right.
How do you get yourself to be more noticed on the more popular categories?
Well, see, that's rough because there is an ocean of people in some of those categories where it is a ton of people there. But when I see stuff like that, because occasionally I love to play Fortnite too, but it's a really popular category. So this is when you have to really rely on your outreach skills and in other places telling folks, hey, I am live as I'm playing. Like, this is not just relying on the category to attract people. You have to rely on stuff like tags and telling folks when you're streaming and make sure people were aware that that's what you were streaming. You could be doing a variation of something that's, the game. So like, remember the Minecraft Hunger Games were really popular for a while. So like a different style of that, you tell people that you're doing. So doing that.
I mean, to Ray's point, if you're seeing you're kind of at the bottom of that category in terms of the subset of users that are searching that directory to find you, focus on other people that are trying to find content, right? If hypothetically you're looking at it and saying, I'm at the very bottom, it's not necessarily worth my effort to try to figure out how can I capture people that are looking in this category, because they may not get to me. What about other people? How can I bring them to my stream directly?
Yeah. So yeah, like using your clips on other platforms and things like that, I feel like will go a long way. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, so I'm, for example, a full-time student and I work. So do you have any helpful tips to not getting a burnout while trying to go for partner?
Man. That is, there's only so many hours in a day, and there's only so much that, we can do as people. So it really depends on how much time you're willing to spend outside of your responsibilities that you already have, that you want to do. We talked about earlier about the schedule and how there was also a set amount of time that we're going to stream for. So if you have to break it down literally to, all right, I need this many hours and this many days, if you can break that down and somehow insert that into your very busy schedule, you just want to make sure that you are doing what you plan for and not more than that. I can't say enough, but if you plan to succeed in a way it's like, all right, I don't want to burn out, but I also want to do this. You have to make sure that when you're planning that schedule, it's not too much more than you can take on. That is a lot to do, but I've seen it done. People have done it. People do it, and so can you. So you got this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hiya. Hi, I'm sorry. Thank you for the good talk. I wanted to ask, is it better for those that grow to partner numbers really quickly, or is it healthier, better to grow really slow and steady, like over a few years?
I can't really say that either one is bad or better, because for some folks, the instant growth just happens to them. It just happens, and that's the internet. It's random sometimes. But yeah, the gradual growth and, up to partnership is also, I would say, yeah, if you're taking the time to take care of yourself and it's a healthy, gradual growth, yeah, I think that's great.
Are they measured differently in the application?
No. I feel like it's, when it comes to the amount of time it took to get there, I don't think that they take that into
That's not going to impact it. You wouldn't be penalized because it took you longer or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with both of those options, there's a lot of pros and cons, right? Right off the top of my head, if you're growing at a slower rate, you're able to focus more on building a strong foundation in the community versus quick growth. You're going to have various people all across the board, right? So there's pros and cons to it. I guess to that point, it depends how quickly you may want to qualify for a partnership.
Yeah, or how quickly you qualify. Because like I said, some folks, it just happens.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Thank you very much.
well, thank you. Yeah. Yes, sir.
All right, yeah, my question is tied into the question I was answered earlier, but it's more about the affiliate program. So
Okay.
when you're in the affiliate program, is there a sort of time limit, like, okay, they can take it away from you if you take too long, if you take a break, or is it just when you have the status, and then it takes?
As long as you're using Twitch, they're not going to take that from you.
Yeah.
If you're an affiliate on Twitch, they're not going to take that from you. It's just, I think you're referring to the updated terms that they did recently. And as long as you are using the platform, I don't think you need to worry about that.
They don't really, as long as you're paying some money and
Not even that even.
no, just viewing itself.
You're just a viewer of the site. You know,
Alright.
you're okay. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. He's been waiting longer, so maybe he can go first.
That was very sweet of you.
Oh, yeah.
C'est bon. Bonjour. Du coup, j'ai une petite question vraiment très rapide. Je veux juste prendre l'avis concernant quelque chose que je fais, peut-être qui n'est pas hyper innovante, mais j'ai des feedbacks des fois très drôles et des fois arnaques, je sais pas quoi, bref. Quand je communique concernant la notification qui arrive au moment du lancement du stream, je vais pas faire de la publicité, mais je mets Famous Play, je vous envoie un message, je vous envoie un message, et du coup les gens cliquent automatiquement pour quoi lire un message. En vrai, il y a le stream qui se lance. Des fois c'est drôle, des fois l'arnaque, je sais pas quoi. Donc je voulais prendre votre avis concernant cette idée pratique. Et pour ma collègue, en fait, il y a Stadi Timmy qui fait une conférence concernant comment gérer sa santé avec les études et tout ça. Donc, pour ma collègue.
I mean, so
We're dying to know what was said. There's a lot of laughing.
we had a great conversation.
Oh,
Essentially, it's just like using the notifications, like we talked about, in a way that really does give folks. I'm assuming it was like, so how you know how you get a text message? Sometimes it shows up. Oh, you got a message from, you got a text message. It's like, oh yeah, I've done that before. Where it's just kind of like it pops up and it's like, hey, you got a message from XYZ. It tricks people into clicking into the stream, which I also think is hilarious. But it's a really clever way of using those notifications to get people to engage with your content. And I think that's really, it's not, I don't think it's cheating. I think it's funny. And I feel like that's a reflection of you and your community, which is dope. So, yeah.
Uniquement les nouveaux en fait qui voient, genre ils croient vraiment que je leur ai envoyé un message, du coup ils sont déçus en fait.
Oh, I mean, they shouldn't be disappointed. I mean, they're the ones that fell for it, so. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Right, thank you. So I've been streaming for maybe 5 years or something, and I had a very consistent community that's been there for like years and years, but it's just maybe 10 people who always click into my stream. And they are very supportive, but I don't really understand how it happened that at the beginning I got those 10 or 20 viewers and they're still there and they stick to me, but I don't feel like I've seen any growth from that point. And it's been 5 years, and I do have to admit I'm not super consistent. I don't have a schedule and stuff like that. Maybe it's that, but the question is there a possibility that if you see that a streamer doesn't really stick consistently, that they get kind of maybe shadow banned or something like that, or they don't get recommended as much as maybe streams that like start streaming and they maybe get recommended more?
No? I mean, I say that in a way, it's like, I don't believe that is the case. Like, it's like, yes, this person doesn't stream often. Why would we put them in recommendations? No, I don't think that's what it is. I mean, I guess I have a few questions for you, because you said, your schedule's not super consistent. So, like, when it comes to, like, streaming, like, so some of the stuff that we talked about, like, you're promoting the stream, are you promoting your streams? Are you telling folks when you're streaming, like, when you're live, like, even in the moment? Also kind of like, what categories are you in, like, stuff like that, so.
Yeah, I do promote on my Discord, on my Twitter, and yeah, they know that I'm streaming.
Right.
And the categories are mostly, and that's also a question that somebody else about the Minecraft asked. Sometimes I stream games that are extremely unpopular, like some indie horror games or stuff like that, so I'm not sure if that's something that would attract people because it's quite an unknown game. But then at the same time, you have the problem if you stream something that's like really popular, then you're like at the bottom of everything. So I feel like I don't really know how to find like the perfect line.
Right, and I don't really think there is a perfect line, but like, so, for example, like, try like, hey, starting a stream, talking, just chatting, you know, and you're talking about a topic that you are really passionate about, something that you like, you know, you're talking with folks, new folks stroll in, and then you're like, hey, by the way, we're going to be switching to something that I like to play later on, and maybe you're bringing new people into that.
They always leave. I always do that, and they
Oh,
always leave.
so hold up though, wait. Well, doesn't that mean that they like to talk to you then?
Yes, I think that's. I guess that.
Yeah. Wow, they like you. Oh no. So I mean, lean into that. You know,
Okay.
maybe plan some different conversations. You know, like this is what we're going to talk about this day or this, like truly lean into you.
Okay.
You seem very personable, so like yeah, lean into that.
Okay.
Yeah, and see what happens, and then I would love to know what happens at the next TwitchCon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully partnered.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Who's next? Rock, paper, scissors.
Go ahead.
Oh, gave up so quick.
Hi. So I wanted to ask, when putting yourself out there on other platforms or social media, which one do you really recommend would like get more traction and get more people seeing and viewing your content? Like Twitter, TikTok.
Now, see, that also varies a lot by the type of content that you make, and I guess honestly where you like to be. Honestly, so it really just depends. Which other services do you use the most?
I use TikTok a lot to promote my stuff.
Mhm.
Instagram, Discord, of course,
Yeah.
and a bit of Twitter, but yeah.
Yeah. So you said TikTok first, so I'm assuming that's the one you use the most.
Yes.
So I would say, yeah, I would lean into TikTok. Like, lean into it. Like, they have the clip editor now, which makes it easier to make your clips more TikTok friendly. So, I mean, and also don't just kind of like take random clips from your stream. Like, make curate them. I tell folks all the time, it's like, all right, I'm going to find a moment that I think will work great for content outside of my stream, and that's how you use those. Because think about the types of stuff that you watch on TikTok and what you like, and then consider how you can make that form of content relevant to your style, if that makes sense. So it's not copying, but it's just like seeing stuff that you like from other places and making it work. I mean, and TikTok is all about like trends and sounds. So be sure to pay attention to those and use them properly. Yeah. And I'm not gonna say that's good work. Don't get me wrong, but it's like I would, for you specifically, that's something I would look into.
And I would say don't limit yourself to just short form. Right? YouTube, for example, is still a powerful tool where whether you upload your entire VODs or edit them a bit to get people to see what is the content that you're doing, and then, oh, you know what, I want to tune in live. This is really cool. And a lot of people don't actually do this, but in YouTube, there's an About panel. Put your Twitch link in there.
Yes.
Get people to know where you are. Right? Chances are your YouTube channel name is consistent with your Twitch channel name, but have that link right there in whatever quick bio you might want.
Yeah, and so just a pro tip. And when you are on YouTube and you're uploading stuff on YouTube, in the bio for the video, like type out this is so like, hey, this is me blah 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 on my Twitch stream playing blah 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 on X day, because we kind of gave an SEO game at that point too. So that's something to try out.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
So I know schedule's the big question always, right? And I was thinking from your experience, if there's like a certain length of stream, because like I feel like I almost stream too much. Like I stream like 5 days a week, sometimes 6 to 8 hours, and I'm also a travel streamer, so time zones change. So generally I try to stay consistent when I'm in a specific time zone, but because I'm like all over the place, I've been noticing it just fluctuates a lot. And so do you know, is there like, from your experience, if there's a sweet spot, like 4 hours feels good? I mean, obviously I have to test mornings, evenings, all that kind of stuff, right? But
yeah.
if you guys had any tips on that?
So I will say there's not necessarily a direct correlation between if you stream more, you're going to see more success or more viewers. In fact, the opposite is true, right? If you think about it, I think you mentioned the word yesterday or today, but if you make it scarce, right? Not that you would just stream like an hour a day, but make it so that
wanting more.
Yeah. Leave them kind of wanting more. Like I think back to shows do this today, but even growing up, you'd have like to be continued at the end, like Power Rangers or anything. I'll give Rage away here. Power Rangers or anything like that, right? It's like to be continued. But if you make it so that I don't want to give you like a number necessarily or even a range. I think you can better figure that out over time as well. But if you make it so that you're not feeling overextended or that you're needing to stream more and more or too much, you can find a good amount of time. And honestly, this is something where it goes back to experimenting. You'll better be able to figure out what was too much or what was even too little on the other end, right?
I think it gets a little tricky too, because I've noticed the longer streams sometimes, because you're on longer, you have more time for raids and things like that. So you'll have like these streams that do really well because they're 6 hours and you got like 6 raids or something, right? But then the long run, like you're saying, the shorter streams, I think you get that consistent base maybe that comes back more often.
Yeah, I think you're also alluding to the inherent challenge where the longer you're streaming and the more viewership you kind of see come in, the less you want to actually go offline at that point.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, you're like, oh, I have 80 people, I'm going to stay here. Like, I don't want to leave. But then I stream for 12 hours and I'm like, okay, I'm going to burn myself out.
So I have a question for you. Do you pay attention to about the time those raids start to come in?
I have been a little bit trying to judge. The problem is because I travel, my time zones are so different. It's kind of been all over the board.
Sounds like you have to use some calendars. But like honestly,
take more notes
think about specific times and time zones where you do notice those raids are coming in and stream closer to that time.
Okay.
You know, because once upon a time I was like, I knew when I was streaming later that people streaming from like dinner time or like they had started streaming before dinner time usually get off stream about dinner time. And so I would start streaming just a little bit after dinner time. So that's when that's when you get the raids and that's what happens. So it's just you play the game, you know? Try it out.
And one last thing real quick is that in the channel analytics page, you can actually get a percentage breakdown of what country your viewers are tuning in from. You maybe are already doing that, but that will also help with the time zone.
Yeah. I mean, most of them are from the US, but I'm in the UK right now, so it's like,
we are pretty
got
cool.
the different time zones.
Yeah.
All right, cool, thank you.
You're welcome. We'll come back to you. All right.
Okay, thank you. So I have a kind of a bit of a specific question. So I've been a music streamer for about 5 years on the platform and everything. And my main question is when it comes to partner with obviously like the DMCA and stuff that's coming in, and obviously like there's like talks on the Twitter sphere and Threadosphere of like consulting like the live licensing as well when it comes to music and stuff like that. So being a music streamer that does like covers and originals, is that taken into consideration when going for a partner? Like, do the people looking at this go, okay, this might be content that's going to cause us problems later on with like lawsuits and stuff like that?
Okay, I see what you're saying now.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't know. It's like it took me a second to kind of like clarify for myself. I would like to say I don't think that that's something they would take into consideration because that also seems like a lot of work.
That's fair.
But I can't say yeah, but I would like to think that that's not something that they really like. Yes, this person could be bad for the brand, like in that regard.
Yeah.
And I'll pitch it in a different manner, is that the content that you're doing when you qualify for and apply for a partner is not representative of the content you'll do a year or 2 years from now. So then the opposite could be true, where someone doesn't do music at all, but then they suddenly do it a year or 2 later after they got partnered. There's no way to actually prevent that.
That's
so to
really
raise
true,
points, it's not something we imagine. And of course, we're not lawyers, and we're not on that team. They wouldn't look at this.
But yeah, I would like to think that's
cool.
how it is.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, sir. I have a question specifically about guest sound. So, for example, if you have a community and they like just chatting, and you want to say, hey, let's go, I guess you could use guest star to get on followers and talk with them, right?
I mean, yeah, you bring your chat up and you can talk to them. Yeah.
So my question would be, is there any consequences because you are liable for their actions if they do some shit on that? So how do you clean the plate? So how do you clean the plate that you are not liable for their actions?
So I'm glad you asked about that because that is one of the big things that they really like hammered on with guest star is that when you're using guest star, people who come on your stream are liable for what they do on your stream. You just want to make sure that you are reporting them immediately and also getting them off of there as soon as possible. You know, so but you are not held liable for it. You know, unless you're also the person who's like encouraging it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you're not liable. You're not at fault for something that somebody else might do because we can't control what people do, especially when you put them in a live situation. So just make sure that you A, are reporting them, and B, getting them the hell out of there as soon as you can.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So much easier speaking from a crowd online. I've had a bit of a strange phenomenon recently to my viewers. Like, I've got a pretty tight-knit community of people, but quite recently I've had those who are constantly active and speak to them. I had a lot of guys who maybe a bit before were a lot more active and consistent, more just popping and saying, oh hey, nice stuff, just like leaving immediately. You know, I like them coming in and saying, now, am I lacking the staying power that I used to and that kind of stuff, or is it just more changing time scales and that kind of stuff, do you believe?
You know, people are people. And so it's really one of those things that's like, unless you ask them, like, hey, what's up, you know? Or like, is it me? You know, it's like, no, it's really just, I wouldn't take that personally at all. It's just, people go through seasons of life, and they're just busy sometimes, you know, and they're also doing something else. I mean, it could even be down to whatever category you're in, they're just not really down with it anymore, you know? So it just depends. It's not you. It's just, they have chosen to do something, and that's the power and the scary part of a viewer. They can change their mind whenever they want, you know, so it's just you trying to pay attention to, you know, what might be causing that. Because it could be things, but ask, you know. I just be honest.
Yeah, I considered asking before. I didn't want to be like, why are you not staying?
Right, don't single anybody out, because that's not cool.
Turn to the rest of the chat, get it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just like to have that kind of conversation with your community. Be like, you know, hey, I'm trying to achieve a goal, and hey, I would love to know what's happening. You know, because I feel like some people are afraid to talk about their numbers with their community sometimes, and I can understand that. But if you really are trying to hit partner, you know, I feel like wanting to actively grow, ask them, have the conversation. Yeah.
I mean, plus one to that, I think soliciting feedback. Obviously, you heard me say it like 5 times of being data-driven. It's not just quantitatively, it's also qualitatively, right? If you're soliciting that feedback and you're going to get that from your fans, from your community, that's only going to help you better understand what do you need to do differently or what should you do more of.
Yeah, I used to ask people, oh, you want to join the stream? But I had one of my mods came up and said, okay, you do it a bit too much. You're starting to sound unsure in yourself.
Yeah, but to that point, your moderator proactively came to you. It sounds like not everyone's going to proactively come to you, right? And so it's a chance to kind of do a call to arms, a call to action. I'd love to learn more. You know, if anyone wants to talk to me, bring it up in chat, whatever it might be.
That's all good. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Oh yeah. Oh boy, look at the time. So go ahead. This is the last 2 questions.
All right. I was curious. What are some of the more common reasons that someone would be denied for partner?
I don't think I personally don't know. Yeah. That's not something I can really answer most because I truly don't work on the team. It's just not a part of the process I'm privy to, unfortunately. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I don't have access to like that stuff. But just to seek some clarification, is this something where you're trying to understand what not to do, or is this
more so? I mean, okay, you spoke on sometimes people do get denied, and I saw kind of like what to do if you do. So I was more curious as to like what are the things I should be looking forward to as I'm approaching that. When the time comes, like what should I avoid, or I don't know, just keep in consideration in the back of my mind as I move toward parking.
I would just say continue being the nice young man that you are. You're going to be fine. All right, you're welcome. Yes.
Hi. So I just wanted to ask about the promotion impressions tab under the analytics. There was a period of time where my stream was getting promoted, and it had like said promoted, I was told, to thousands of people. And I'm not really sure why that happened. And some people assumed I was paying for it as well. So I don't really know. That doesn't happen anymore now, but I was wondering why it was happening or how to make it happen more maybe.
Yeah, just to clarify, was this, it said promotions or did it say front page?
No, promoted.
Promoted, okay, got it. So,
what's the difference?
If I remember correctly, this was a product or feature that was tested on the platform. Not everyone necessarily got access to it.
Right.
Sometimes when tests happen, it's only to a certain percentage of either viewers or streamers or whatever it might be to get from our side a bit of data in for the product team to understand the impact of the product. So it sounds like, if I recall correctly, this was something that was more of a test, and that's why you saw it for a period of time and then disappeared without any kind of mitigation.
For a few months.
Yeah, so it definitely seems like one of the experiments to me. Which, with the creator home now, would probably be a little bit more evident to see. So, yeah.
So to answer your other question, there's not anything you could do right now to like get access to it because I don't think it's running anymore.
No, I don't think so.
But hopefully it helped your stream.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
It definitely did.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, I was like, hope it helped.
I'm grateful I was part of the test, I guess.
Okay, well that's good.
Thank you.
Well, hey, thank all of you. I hope we're having and have had an incredible TwitchCon. I really, really appreciate you spending your time here. We'll be out in the hall. So if you have any other questions, ask them and we'll see what's happening. All right.